The development is over, the votes are in. Bevy Game Jam number 2 is now over. So let's take a look at the top 10 games that were entered into the Bevy Game Jam. Bevy Game Jam number 2 was the second Bevy Game Jam ever run, the goal of which was to create a game in 10 days with any number of people that use the Bevy game engine. This of course means that there is a lot of Rust. The theme was chosen by the community by a number of votes, so every Bevy Game Jam there's a channel in the Discord, a bunch of people put suggestions in, a bunch of other people upvote them, and then the winner is the one with the most upvotes. The theme for this game jam is Combine, or Combine, or however you want to pronounce it, I guess. There are a number of hard rules. You have to use the Bevy game engine, which means you have to use Rust. You do have to build your game during the game jam, so for 10 days. But given rule number 3, you are allowed to reuse assets and other pieces of code, so you don't actually have to build the game inside of that 10 days, especially if you're a person who works in the game industry or on a bunch of indie games. You can end up with quite a large stockpile of code walking into this game jam that you can then use. Again, teaming up is allowed and encouraged, so if you are a solo developer building a game, you could be competing against a team of 4, 5, or 6 people or something like that. And of course, there are all the usual, hey, if you build a game that is horrible, we're going to be able to remove it. Additionally, there are things that you're encouraged to do for the game jam, such as licensing your code under the dual MIT/Apache 2.0 license. This is because this is the way that the Bevy game engine itself is licensed, and it means that anywhere Bevy is used, your code can also be used. The other soft rule is that the submission should be runnable on Windows, Mac, and Linux, but in my experience with game jams, your game isn't going to get played if you build native binaries. People just don't download them. So if you don't have a web build, you're going to get fewer votes, which means that pretty much all of the games we're going to see in the top 10 are going to have a web build. Note that this does affect the kinds of games that you can write. For example, if you wanted to use compute shaders, you can really only build a native build unless you want to have a backup for web that maybe doesn't work as well. And then after everybody is done, there are 4 sections worth of voting. So there's gameplay, theme interpretation, presentation, and originality. There were 84 submissions for the jam. Like we talked about before, 73 of them are browser playable. There are significantly fewer that actually have native builds at all, especially for a platform like Mac. So if you plan on getting involved in one of these game jams in the future, keep in mind that you are going to want to make a web build, not just a native build. Another restriction that is typical in these game jams is if you build a multiplayer game, you also have to have enough people online all the time to be able to play it so that people can review the game. So in general, what I expect to see in this game jam is a lot of single player games. With that, let's get into our first game, One Clicker. One Clicker has a fairly high gameplay score, ranking number 4, with everything else pretty much being 10 or above. The originality for this game is number 35, so maybe this is a game mechanic that we've seen before. So here is One Clicker, a simple clicker factory game where you combine numbers. Note, when collecting a coin, the square of the coin's value is added to your balance. So I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but I am kind of clicking around. I don't know if I'm supposed to be just clicking a bunch. It seems like the more that I click on the areas that have already had coins on them, the more points I get. I don't know when the game is over. It looks like we can buy stuff, so maybe we stick a miner here and a left conveyor here. So then we keep clicking at the end and we get a bunch of them. You can kind of click and pan around, so I assume this is an infinite canvas. But other than that, it is kind of just a game where you click a lot. And you can automate as well, so you don't even actually need to play the game to get points. You can kind of just set up a bunch of these and see how fast you can get points into your inventory. The one thing that I feel kind of awkward about this game is that left click is used for clicking and also for dragging this around. I feel like I would prefer if it was left click for putting down coins and right click or something like that, or middle mouse button or something to pan around. But maybe that's part of the difficulty. I don't know. In any case, this is a pretty typical clicker game. I think some of the mechanics are interesting, possibly worth reviewing the source code for. So good job. Congrats to One Clicker for 10th place. In 9th place, we have Subfuse. Now for presentation, they scored a rank number 1. So that'll be really interesting to see. But everything else they have is pretty much somewhere around 10 or lower. So they've got 9 for gameplay, 9 overall. Of course, 9th place. 11 for originality, and the theme interpretation doesn't seem like it fits. I do happen to know who the author is here, so I am expecting something that is visually impressive because of their past work with rendering. If you remember the Bevy 0.8 blog post, this is the person that did the material example showing off the new rendering APIs. So we've got tab to toggle menu, interact with left click, WASD, and shift to sprint. There are some performance notes here. So again, there is a web build, but the native build runs better. And of course, this is open source again by a team of 3 people. So we click play and it probably will take a second to load, I'm assuming. So our goal is to escape the hotel. It is kind of creepy, which is kind of cool. There's like this like almost CRT like shader on it. Okay. It looks very atmospheric. I'm wondering if there's going to be even... Actually, I don't think I can toggle the menu. Oh, there it is. So there's a mouse speed setting. I'm going to go towards this door over here and see what happens. Okay, so we've got to go find money somehow. Very atmospheric, big, large, empty parking lot at night kind of vibes, which I love. The walking speed is very slow. Overall, I love the ambiance to this game. I love the lighting. I love the baked textures. I love everything about how this game looks. But for me, I had a really hard time figuring out how to play it. And maybe this is because I don't play many escape room games. So this may just not be a game in the genre that I typically have experience with. But I found myself walking around quite a bit and not being able to find things to progress. I looked through the comments and there are other people that did get through more of the game than I did. So it is possible, and I may just be really bad at these games. Again, the top scores for this game were number 1 in presentation. So that's what we're looking for here the most. And I think that's what they executed on the best. I think that gameplay wise, they could have added something like a cursor in the middle of the screen or something like that to kind of give more of an indication of where you can click. I found it hard to kind of focus on different areas. And since I didn't really finish the game totally, I don't know how the theme interpretation is. So TBD, but very worth looking at. I think that the code will be interesting to look at just from the lighting perspective, just to see what they did to make it look like they did. Which brings us to 8th place in OIKIT. OIKIT didn't score top of its class in any rank, but it did have a fairly high originality, and the presentation is within the top 10 as well. So another game with a WASM build, once again. WASD to move, click to interact, right click to throw. Any line prepended with ++ should be put through the green paint ++ machine. Any line prepended with -- should go through the red -- machine. Mistakes can be erased with the eraser machine. Any line prepended with bang bang should be thrown into the deleter. == should be left as is. Click on code blocks with other code blocks to combine them. Use the hammer to split them apart. Once they're in the correct order, you may put the assemble block back on the scan desk and use the command F to move on to the next level. So OIKIT was an interesting game. The gameplay was difficult to figure out. The rule set, I feel like, wasn't well explained. So I spent my first level failing a number of times due to not understanding where to put things, not understanding which order they had to be in. I didn't quite understand if I needed to be the thing that created the diff or actually like end with the diff at the end, if that makes sense. If I ended with the correct code or if I ended with like a literal diff. But overall, once I got the hang of it, it did turn out to be fairly easy. It's pretty much pick things up, put things down, pick them back up, recombine them. You do have to combine them from bottom to top, which I found kind of awkward. And there was no kind of like control in that sense. So I ended up tossing a lot of things on the floor in different places, kind of doing the colorings first and then doing the orderings after. But it's a novel concept. So congratulations to OIKIT for hitting 8th place. I will say that the only real substantial complaint about OIKIT is that the beep when you fail a task on the computer comes out of nowhere, and it feels like it's 5 to 10 times louder than any other sound in the game. So it absolutely blew my eardrums out, and they're still kind of ringing. Next up, we have Elemental Sorcerer, which looks like a 2D platformer Metroidvania-ish kind of thing. This is the number 1 in the gameplay category, so I'm expecting this to handle pretty well. I'm expecting, like, you know, the jumping and the elementalness to be pretty good. And that's backed up kind of by the originality score. I'm expecting this to be very similar to any other 2D platformer Metroidvania type game. Those have been pretty popular over the last few years. It interestingly doesn't actually full screen. So we'll play it in the small version. So I really like this game as a concept. I really like the little character. I really like the idea of needing to change out all of these different kind of tools and things. So you end up with one of 3 different equipments with one of 3 different elements, and depending on what kind of way you put them together, you get different kinds of things. So you get double jump, or you get fire resistance, or you get a staff that can blow rocks around. The one kind of, I don't want to call it a criticism because this is a game jam game, but the one thing that I found myself having to do over and over and over is I swapped between these so often that it felt like going back to each of these little stones to do the swap was really something it felt like a chore more than it felt like a fun part of the game. But other than that, it was a pretty fun demo. I really like this little character. I really like these little like blacky ghosty characters. Like Hollow Knight has one of these kinds of characters, like a small shadowy kind of thing. Another one with this kind of character is Have a Nice Death. And it reminds me a little bit of like the Peak 08 version of Celeste in a way. So I can see why this didn't get terribly high scores for, you know, like originality. But I do really like these kinds of games, and I would love to see this developed further into a more complete concept. Now, the Fantastical Cookbook gets a number 1 rank for the theme interpretation. It's always really nice to see the games that get number 1 in a specific category, sort of the best gameplay or the best theme interpretation or something like that. Again, this is another game developed by what looks like a 3-person team, and it looks like just a recipe kind of game. They've chosen to go with the mountain of dialogue approach to intro tutorial. And as far as I can tell, it actually doesn't stop. It just loops around. So if you keep clicking it, you'll keep getting more dialogue. So we've got Yeti water and a frost scale. Okay, so it looks like there is a fire here, but there actually isn't, I don't think. This is also an empty slot, effectively. I feel like they knew what they were doing with the dialogue, because down in the bottom here it says read the dialogue, and there is a massive amount of dialogue. And again, the dialogue just keeps looping, so yeah. So it's kind of a cool concept. It's mostly just a like click on things, drag them around, drag them into these things, combine them, cut them up, and then give them to the people. This person wants me to make them a sandwich, but I don't have anything to put on the sandwich, and I can't find anything to put on the sandwich as far as I can tell. So I've made the bread. Maybe I put the bread in like one of these things, or the bread and the ice cream, or the bread and I don't know, something else. Shaved ice. I have no idea. I don't have any ingredients that would go on a sandwich. So I don't know how to proceed from here. But an interesting take on the combined theme. So obviously a recipe combiner like the one that you would find in Minecraft built into a standalone game. So congrats to Rustaway and the rest of the team on the Fantastical Cookbook. Mole Rancher is yet another one of these kind of like click around and solve puzzles kind of games. So we're kind of here, and I guess the target is 2K. So we want to put enough particles in here to combine into 2K. Okay, I got it. So we need to put enough things in here until we do get 2000 combined power, but each of these can be combined with kind of itself. And you kind of just have to wait for them to collide, or wait for them to like combine, I guess. I don't know if they have to be moving at a particular speed, or let's try to put a couple more in. I feel like a number of these games would benefit from clearer instructions. Like instead of trying to figure out what the game mechanics are, like explain them straightforwardly. Apparently I blew up the entire world. Interesting. I have no idea how that happened. Enter the lab, back into here. I don't actually know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, combining molecules increases power, whereas molecules colliding with the edges increases temperature. So we've got a power of 84 and a target of 2K, but the temperature is what goes up and down and makes it a problem. So we want more higher powered items in here, I guess. I'm not sure. Even when they collide, they kind of don't. So the mechanics here are kind of confusing to me. Maybe more of these and then those hit each other. I'm not quite sure if 2K is the power target. Yeah, definitely one of the things that ooh, okay, so one of them just combined over here. I think that was a speed thing. So if we put them in, they have some random amount of velocity. If they hit the sides, then the death meter goes up. If they hit each other, they have the chance to combine. So we want ideally fewer molecules moving faster. So we've got whatever this thing is up here. This reminds me of the old kind of Flash games where someone would just kind of make like a small physics-based thing and you would just either click or kind of hang out. And oh, apparently I lost it to my boss. There was I didn't feel like there was any warning that was going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea when I'm winning or losing at this game, but it's kind of fun to watch the little things bounce around. And apparently other people liked it too because it is number 5 in the list. So overall, kind of interesting. It's a particle combination game. The speed seems to combine the particles, which gives you more power, while having too many particles bouncing off the sides constantly causes you to have a nuclear explosion. And also you could get caught by your boss or something like that at random intervals. It seemed random anyway. I'm not sure if it was actually random. So congrats to Mole Rancher for number 5, which brings us to number 4, which has a number 2 for gameplay and a number 2 for theme interpretation, which are both quite high. A lot of games don't respond well to being expanded. So if you hit play inside of the itch.io like play window and then you make it full screen, a lot of the games don't change to be full screen. So kind of a little puzzle game. This feels typical, so I'm just gonna stack these, I think. Oh, the blocks combine. Okay. I really like this lighting effect. I wish they had used this lighting effect more. So it looks like we get different color blocks and we get to just like kind of push these into each other, but we also can't jump that high. So here we go. So it's kind of a fun little block game. It got a couple of moving platforms and things like that. I think the block combination mechanic makes the puzzles interesting. I feel like there should be some kind of, oh, there it is. I feel like that bump up was almost a mistake in the physics. So I'm not sure how I'm supposed to get this, unless they have to be exact. So it feels pretty random as to whether it's interesting because if I scroll the page down and up, you go flying. So I don't think that that's the way they intended me to solve that puzzle. But there is something going on there where if you scroll down the page and back up, you kind of fling your character all around. Overall, kind of an interesting game. I feel like I would like to see it fleshed out a little bit more, which, you know, is probably typical of all Game Jam games. So nice job, Combo Box. Congrats on 4th place. So we're into top 3, and these are the games that score top in multiple categories. So this game has a number 2 for presentation and a number 3 for gameplay. I really like the start screen. It's one of the better start screens I've seen so far. They do say full screen recommended, which is completely different than some of the other games that we've played that don't even support it. We've got cutscenes, which is a huge jump from the other games. Okay, so left mouse button to move, space to dash. F to start jamming. F is not working for me. I don't know why F is not working for me, but F is not working for me. I feel like space is also not working for me. Maybe it's, I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of unfortunate that, I don't know, the keyboard input isn't getting picked up for some reason. I don't know, I'm not sure why, which means that I can't get past these rocks. So kind of interesting. Unfortunate that I can't really get it to work. I might be able to download it if they have a downloadable version, or I could run it locally. So in any case, the game looks interesting, at least. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my keyboard input to work for it. I'm not really sure why. Maybe I'll take a run at the game later. I think that looking at the code for these games could be a really interesting video as well. So that brings us into number 2, Loot Goblin, which got a number 2 overall, 4 for theme, 4 for presentation, 5 for gameplay, and 7 for originality, which are fairly high scores in all categories. Press space to continue exploring. This reminds me of one of the is it like Evil Dead games? One of the games where you have to like store all of your guns in the same inventory blocks. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why, but the space button didn't work for quite a while, similar to the last game. there's a fight going on in this room, apparently. Empty vial with a red herb. So something like this. Combine, and we've got something else. Something like this. Combine, and we've got a green one. Loot, loot, loot. Continue exploring. I guess, can we use these? Or rusty sword, scroll of basics. I guess give him the sword. Go through to the next one. I feel like the thing on the left here is fun. I think if they continue with this should get like a visualization or something. Like we should be able to watch it happen. Give them some health points, I guess. But I do feel like I am largely just waiting for stuff to happen. Okay, let's take a sword over here and maybe another sword and combine. And now it has a nice sword. Do I want 2 vials or do I want one big vial? Apparently these don't combine, so you can't make more out of the same thing. This drop rate is terrible, man. That's hilarious. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of like waiting for something to go into a room and do something, and you basically get random drops that you have to give them. A bunch of the rooms have actually nothing. So it's interesting. I feel like if this were going to be developed further, I would love to be watching something happen right now, rather than reading a lot of text. I feel like a lot of these games fell back on a lot of text exposition as a way to cut the development time down, which I totally get. It's a game jam, right? Like you're expected to take shortcuts like that. Let's give them the shield as well and whatever this essence thing is. But it is a lot of reading. So in any case, interesting concept for a game. I think the combinations are interesting. I feel like there's a lot of reading that has to happen everywhere, which is not really in my wheelhouse when it comes to games, I guess. Violet herb, something about strength or something. Let's get another health one, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I've exhausted all the mechanics in the game right now, and I'm just kind of like waiting for stuff to happen. Like here's another couple swords, here's some armor. Do we wait for more armor? I don't know. I guess we can control alt click to throw things away, but it doesn't actually work. I think that is competing with my browser for this right now. Is it these? Maybe? No. Yeah, so the control alt click to throw things away I can't actually do because it competes with my browser right click, which is one of the downsides of using browser games, I guess. But interesting concept. Congrats for second place, because that is second out of like almost 100 games, which is quite a big deal. Which brings us to number 1. So number 1 in originality and top 10 in all of the other categories with about 30 ratings. So let's find out what this is. Take part of the historic unveiling of the Combine event. Warning, I mistakenly add code in a way that forces the game to run full screen and didn't realize. I'm so sorry. Okay, so browser version may have a couple audio issues. Score as many touchdowns as possible. So run game, made with Bevy. Nice. Forces itself into full screen. I can't click start for some reason. Oh, enter. Enter gives start. I wonder if I need to... Yeah, okay. I need to use arrow keys. Hello, I'm Bill. That tongue is hilarious. Bill and Will. Score as many touchdowns as you can while navigating a corn maze. We've been generously donated 1,000 acres worth of corn. Okay, so 3D game. That's kind of cool. We've got a little model here. I am kind of ready to play at this point, but again, this is a massive amount of dialogue. We're easily up to 30 or 50 dialogue panes at this point. Okay, there we go. Little dude running, avoid the combine, pick up the football, score, go back, find the football. This is kind of fun. Again, this reminds me of like the early days of Flash games, if that makes sense. Like not in the graphics way or anything like that, but just the like simple games, simple rules, not a whole lot going on. Just kind of like run back and forth, grab the thing, score as many points as you can, and then when you're bored, just stop. Which is kind of cool. I don't know what the corn score is. I guess they're trying to clean up the corn and I have to score until the corn goes out. I wonder if I can... Oh, I don't want to run in front of that. I feel like that's a bad idea. They flattened my ball. Okay, we can't go same side, so we have to go other side. This is kind of fun. It's very much just holding arrow keys back and forth, but... flattened. Okay, so there's 68 corn left. We have 900 points. Haha! Run away. Sponsor for this event is Alpaca Theory. Whatever. So, I don't know. The game doesn't feel super difficult, I guess. I mean, I did run into the combine once. But it is still fun. It's still like a unique concept. Of course, I used to love playing like older NFL games. Not any of the new Madden stuff, but the older like NFL Blitzy kind of stuff. These people are just going to hold onto my legs forever, aren't they? Okay, so that's it for round one. I do feel like there's not a lot of explanation as to like how many levels there are or what the goal is here. Like the points don't matter in a sense. Like I could probably just wait for the corn to go, right? But it's kind of a nice little like time waster game. So congratulations. This is a single player built game. So all of the art and whatever was done by Michael Ramirez. So congrats, Michael, on getting first place in the Bevy Game Jam, especially on your own. So that's it for the Bevy Game Jam. That's the top 10 games. Congratulations to everybody who competed, I guess is the right word for that, or participated might be a better word. It was fun going through the games. It was fun seeing what other people can build with Bevy. And I think that they're going to continue to run more Bevy Game Jams in the future. So if you're looking to participate, then look forward to Bevy Game Jam number 3. I have no idea when that will be, but it does seem like they're coming around more often these days. So keep an eye on the Bevy Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. Congrats, everyone.